All right, man. So we'll kick it off, I guess.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Pagey train. Today I have with me Matthew C. Vella of Vella Matt Films. Obviously, we're doing this remotely because of the coronavirus. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks for having me back, Ross. It's a pleasure to be almost here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a pleasure to be remotely here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also a pleasure to be remotely hosting. So, obviously, to kick it off, we're in some strange times at the moment. I think I don't know how to frame it, but the first shift to sink was the entertainment industry, which is really sad. A lot of our colleagues and a lot of our friends are really suffering, including ourselves. Actually, did you have any film projects that were coming up?
Not immediately. So I'm a little bit lucky. I'm kind of more in a development stage, but I did have some plans to roll things out, which I think COVID, it doesn't seem appropriate to do it around now. So I've put them on I wouldn't say the back burner, but they're waiting for things to calm down. The Western Sydney filmmaker hangouts obviously had to go on a bit of a pause. I was scheduled to perform at Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and obviously that's not happening. So that's a bummer. I was going to go to Melbourne, Melbourne Indie Film Festival as well. I had not one but two shorts playing there. Couldn't go because of that. The biggest way I've been affected has been film festivals. I have a new film called Nobody Likes Camping, which I'm really excited to have to the film festival circuit. And I was meant to do big things this year. And now I'm kind of just waiting to see how that industry goes to figure out when it will do its big premiere. So
okay.
See what happens.
Well, as far as it stands, I brought this up on the podcast that we shot this week. That Made in the West is still running this year, as far as we know, unless they extend. Yeah, man. Yeah, totally. Unless they extend the isolation period, so it's up until September. So obviously, Made in the West falls in November, at the end of November. So there's a high likelihood that the festival will run this year. But even even if we had to do it digitally, we've already sort of set up a plan. If we had to do a digital festival just to show everyone's work, we have plenty of content to show. So it'd be good to see your film, man.
Oh yeah. I think absolutely we'll be playing at Made in the West this year. I'd be very surprised if for some reason it wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's it's always been the place I've premiered all my projects. This might be the first one where it doesn't have premiere there, maybe. But if that's the case, it might be like the second or third. We'll see. It's definitely going to be there. But who knows? With all this COVID stuff going on, at this point in time, I think I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
I just want to get it out there at this point. I want to see it with an audience. Comedy films need to be seen in the theater with an audience because those laughters, you can't get anything better than that. Watching a comedy film by yourself, it's fine, but I think as someone who makes something like that, you want to see it with an audience.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, totally. That's why I love Made in the West so much, because you guys you work so hard to promote you guys work so hard to like promote it. You guys work hard to just get butts into the seats. The way that it's usually just free for entry just means you get a good audience there, and it's really great as a filmmaker to have that. And I always tell everybody, Made in the West, like they give you the VIP treatment. They make you feel special as a filmmaker, and that's really important because a lot of festivals they tend out to miss on that sometimes, especially with short films.
Oh, look, I've said it a million times before. We make the festival that we want to go to, and I think that's what we hold close to our heart. But speaking of comedy though, man, because recently, doing a bit of face stalking as I usually do. You're doing the School of Hard Knocks, which
Hard Knock Knocks.
Hard Knock Knocks.
Yeah, it's like that's the joke. It's Hard Knocks. Knock jokes.
As in knock.
It's a bad pun, but I like it.
I know, yeah. Oh, look, that's a pun that went over my head. I didn't even see that in there.
There you go.
But man, that stand-up piece that you did that you put online, man, that was mint.
Thanks, man. It's pretty awesome. So I've really been enjoying making comedy projects lately, and I want to flex those muscles more creatively. And I think just building myself as an artist, not just a filmmaker, but an artist. I think especially down the track when you want to pitch for funding and stuff, you've got to really build your skill set. So what a better way to work in comedy writing than do a quick stand-up course. And when I heard about this, I was really excited because they film your set as well. And I kind of knocked it out of the park, had a great time with that. Since then, I've been doing open mics. And based off that video alone, I scored myself a gig in Melbourne at the Comedy Festival, which is a huge, huge moment for me. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing, dude. That is so amazing. I just can't believe, so many of us have been kicked in the balls over this goddamn coronavirus. Man, look,
tough, man.
The wheel will come around again, man. Like, you're doing really good work. I'm sure that that opportunity will come up again.
I'm not worried about that. But it sucks. But like, there's so many people out there who have a lot worse than me. I'm one of the few people. I'm one of the few people who is lucky enough. I can still work from home. I can still make a bit of a living, and many can't. So my heart goes out to all of them. I try and support people as much as I can in any shape, way, or capacity. And it's heartbreaking to see so many of my friends just going through all that shit,
Yeah. I was just thinking my lucky stars that the amount of work I do is so complex that there are, there's battles that we've lost, but I haven't lost the war yet. Still working from home. And even that's a challenge now because I'm spending in this very chair, I'm spending 16 hours a day in this chair. So I've had to actually force myself to break away and walk around the block because I don't have my normal commute to work. Obviously can't go to the gym. It's just, I think I was trying to tell myself that, this will pass really quickly. Like it'll be gone in a couple of weeks. And then, it's been this week where the crushing reality has really come through, and I realised that this is going to be like this for some time. So may as well get used to it. May as well get comfortable.
Yeah. The scary part is not knowing how long that time is. I feel like every day we hear something new, or a new rumor or a new theory, or, oh no, I've got a friend from the government who says this. And it's like, does your friend even exist? Sometimes it's like back in school when your friend would be like, my dad works at Nintendo and he says you can do this Mario. It's like, no, your dad didn't work at Nintendo. Fuck you. I fell for so many of those rumors and lies as a kid.
My dad's a really big cog down at the biscuit factory.
100%, man. But I think the main thing is like, you just got to be logical. You got to be smart. And there's a difference between people who I think are smart and people who pretend they're smart. Yeah. There are people out there who they like to question everything. They're like, oh, the government, did this. And you could go on about, I don't know, maybe if you fake the moon landing or if the earth is flat. But at the end of the day, it's like, if there's a disease or something going on, like you just got to take the advice of healthcare professionals and just stay the fuck at home.
We should always be taking the advice of professionals in whatever field of endeavor that is. That's why they're experts, right?
I can't tell you how much it fucking pisses me off when I'm working with a client who knows nothing about technology or film or media, and they try and be like, no, it should be like this. I'm like, well, that doesn't work for several thousand reasons. And they're like, no, but I think this would be better. And then you just got to grit your teeth and like, well, they're paying me, so I guess so. But
well, that's the part I don't like, Matt. Like I've had, you and me both. We've had, so many different types of clients, like videography clients, editing clients, whatever the case may be, and it's hard to translate that jargon of what it is to be a filmmaker into their space. It's very difficult to translate that. They have, I think, sometimes these, delusions of how far their money can go. And I think, they have a very high, because we're surrounded by so much media, they have a very high expectation. The thing that really grinds my gears about some of those clients, though, is they think they own you. Just because they're paying you, they think, oh, I own you right now. It's like, no, I work from these hours to these hours, and then I knock off. That's usually what anyone does. My biggest gripe would be revision. So when you do an edit for somebody, I generally give them 3 revisions. And after that, I say, if you want to further revision this, it's going to be added to your invoice. And
that's a really good piece of advice. It's a lesson I'll do, but like I wish I learned that a lot sooner, man. I really do. And there's a reason I very rarely do freelance work nowadays. I'm lucky that I'm in a niche now of educational media for my 9 to 5, where I particularly just work with educators. And so I know I've learned to speak their language, and I've developed a skill set of translating media creative talk to academic talk.
Oh man, we're doing the same, very similar things at the moment, dude. Very similar things, yeah.
But like, that's a skill you've got to learn. Like, and when I started that, I did not think that'd be a fucking skill to learn. But like, and like now that's given me value in my field, and it's a good way to, I think, earn trust. But then like, if you're working, I think to anyone who's starting out in videography and stuff, like you got to remember, like you should be getting paid your worth. And there are different types of people. Some people have egos straight out of film school. They think they're Steven Spielberg and they want to charge $1 million a minute. But like what they don't understand, what you need to understand is your experience is what gets you that money. So I think if you're working with a client, maybe it's a fashion client and you don't know anything about fashion, there's going to be some bumps in the road there for you, because you may not know what is cool in the fashion world as opposed to what's cool in, I don't know, fucking woodworking world, you know? And I think what the clients look for is they see something cool on TV and they go, oh, I want to be like that. So I think you as a filmmaker, a videographer or whatever, you have to learn how to emulate someone else's style to make the client happy, which is the worst fucking feeling as a creative, because you're out here trying to create your own style and your own whatever. So I think there's like definitely 2 different, like work for hire and work for creative spirit. They're 2 very different worlds, and you got to learn that.
Oh, totally. They are. One's a money maker, one's a money spender, and they're both very different. But I think
you got so many good quotes, Ross. You got so many good ones.
Well, I just like to frame it in a sentence like that, because it makes it a picture and it makes it understandable, and then people go, oh yeah, I get that. You know, like I think advice I would offer to anyone that's doing videography outside of their field, outside of their interest, is just do a little bit of research. If you haven't had anything to do with fashion, spend a couple of hours Googling what fashion's about, like actually find the definition of fashion, and then go right through, who are some key players that have been in that industry. Get a bit of a sense of the lingo before you go and take on the job. That's what I'd recommend to people. And definitely put in your contract, when you your verbal contract or your written contract or your quote, however you're going about your business, and only put in 3 revisions. I will only do 3 revisions.
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't do a lot of freelancing these days. So I'll be honest, I'm bad at it. I'm not. It's like I'm really great with customer service side of things, and I'm pretty good with the creative side of things. But when it comes to like putting your foot down, when it comes like I want to help my clients, I want to help them do the best thing possible, even to the point where they're taking advantage of you, especially if you're working with like indie startups or musicians or anyone who has no fucking money. Especially creatives. They're just like filmmakers. Like they're trying to make a little bit of money the wrong way. Yeah. And exactly. So like it's either an investment you have within each other, or I'm just so bad at that stuff.
Yeah, I think a bit of advice I'd give to when you're dealing with a difficult client or a client per se would be, talk softly but carry a big stick. And if you hold that presence, then you can. I think there's a bit of a difference between demanding respect and commanding respect. I think if you demand respect, you're not going to get it. If you command it through your presence, through your work processes, you need to sell them the idea that you know what you're doing. And even something, an old saying goes, fake it till you make it. But at some point, you're going to have to not fake it, and you're going to have to be able to. At some point, that's going to have to come true.
And anyone who's smart, like, they can tell when you're bullshitting. Like, the worst thing, I'll straight up tell you this now, through running the Western Sydney Filmmakers Hangout, I meet a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. I think some of the main ones meet are emerging filmmakers because they're the ones who need to network the most. But you meet a variety of different characters, and every now and then I'll meet someone who's like, they're acting like they're the top shit, and they're like, oh, I'm so good, and like, oh, they'll start talking shit on, I don't know, oh, and Marvel's so bad. Fuck, here I am with this right here. But yeah, Marvel's bad, or these, I'm a better director than Spielberg. Like, they won't say that, but they got that attitude.
Yeah.
And then whenever I have that, I'll go, okay, so what have you made? And then they'll be like, well, I'm going to make a film. I'm like, then motherfucker, if you haven't made shit that's better than the shit you're talking about, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
And
I think, it's that age-old one when you're in a pub. Yeah, sorry?
Yeah, they'll talk the talk, but it's rarely see them walk the walk. So I'll be like, okay, win some awards at some film festivals, maybe get some funding through a big funding body. Then you can talk some shit. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be talking shit at all. You should be really trying to empower your fellow filmmakers, especially in the indie scene.
Totally. And especially in this country, in this state, in this part of the world, we need each other. Like, there's no solo operator out there.
It is amazing how many negative Nancys there are out there. And it is amazing the entitlements and egos sometimes people can have. And as someone who, I try to be as humble as I can. I'm not 100% a humble person, but I try my best to be. And it's really infuriating when I see people who are just oblivious to that. Because I think at the end of the day, like, when you're asking stuff from people to make these small, cheap films too, you've got to be as approachable as possible.
Oh, totally. And you've got to enroll them in the idea. You've got to be able to enroll people in your ideas. You can't just bark. The ones that bother me are the ones that bark at you. People that bark at you and they're like, I need this, I need that, I need this. You need to be over there. And don't get me wrong. When I've been on, when the money's ticking, sometimes I've used a sense of urgency in my voice. But essentially, you need to be able to show someone how to do something. Don't get someone to do something you wouldn't do yourself. I think you've very, very much nailed it there. Be approachable. You have to have an open dialect with people. Because you'll get them to do what you want once, but will you get them to come work on your next film, and will they be workable again? But yeah, I think. But back to some people with ego that you run into that are a little bit full of shit. You do run into those sorts, but then it makes you realise that they don't know who they're talking to sometimes, because you go, well, I know most filmmakers in Western Sydney, dude, and I've never heard of you. Like, we meet, like, between me and you, we probably know. I'd be rare to find a filmmaker we didn't know. It'd be rare.
I think if you're an emerging filmmaker and you're starting to make a name for yourself, between the two of us, like, one of us has probably got an idea from Western Sydney at least. Yeah. But that's just because we coincidentally both seem to manage two of the touchstone points of where you would go for stuff. Besides a place like ICE or a government body, where one of the few independents, I'd say.
Oh, dude, we're way cooler than that, man. We're way cooler than the government. I'll tell you that. We actually know how to chuck a party.
Not me. yeah, that's true. We can drink.
And we know how to communicate, and we know how to get people where they need to get going as well. And I think as well, being a bit honest, like you say, you're not going to be Spielberg out of the gate, mate. You're gonna have to do some jobs that you don't want to do. Sometimes you've got to do things you don't want to do to get to do what you want to do. And it's not you're not going to do it in a year. It's going to take you years to do it.
I think the problem with the mindset of fake it till you make it for some people is, and it's a lesson I've learned along the way, is it's okay to not be good sometimes. Like, people will be surprised. They'll be like, when are you making the feature film? Like, maybe 5 years. They'll be like, but why? You've won awards around the world. You've done this. You've run that. Why not? And I'll be like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough yet. I'm not sure. I've made 3 major shorts to my name. They go for about 10 minutes each. Does that mean I deserve millions and millions of dollars? I know I'm a good filmmaker. Hell, I'll see some feature film. I'll see some feature films and they'll be like, well, it's easy, man. We shot it for like $5,000. And then I want to be like, I know I can tell because your standards are very low. And of course I won't say that because that's rude as fuck. But I don't know, if you're not shooting on cine lenses, then your film is not going to look cinematic. That's for starters. If your film doesn't have known actors in it, it's going to be very hard for it to market and for it to be a success. I know the word success is very subjective.
Yeah, but it'd have to be real dynamite if you've got a whole bunch of unknowns and you've done a feature for $5,000. It would have to be absolute dynamite to break through. It'd have to.
I know, and that's the big problem I see is with a lot of indie features. They're like, well, I made a feature. I see people who've never done a short and said I'm making a feature. I'm like, good luck.
Yeah,
Good
man,
luck.
I've interviewed
Really.
guys like that, man. But some of them actually do pull it off. I know a couple of guys that have pulled it off.
It's true. It's true, but I think the ones who do pull it off with success, that's probably because they've hired people around them who have that experience to make up for their lack of inexperience.
Yeah, totally.
That's my guess.
That's my guess. Yeah, you're right. They have surrounded themselves with people that have depth of knowledge and depth of
like if you look at the way Hollywood works, right? Every now and then you'll see a massive blockbuster film by a first-time director. Everyone will be like, why the fuck? It's a first-time director. It's like, yeah, but look at his other credits on IMDb. He produced the last 20 X-Men films and 6,000 films starring Adam Sandler or some shit, right? He also was a first AD on 300,000 fucking, I don't know, Conjuring movies or something, you know? Like, this motherfucker's been around. He knows his shit, right? It might be it's not a great movie. Who knows? But, like, they've got experience in other fields. And directing, honestly, let's be honest, like, anyone can direct. But the way to become a good director is, you know, often good directors, they come from something else first, you know. That's why I see writer, director, or, this, like, especially nowadays at Hollywood blockbusters, all these big directors doing the CGI films and stuff, they're people who come from special effects backgrounds. And they're often some of the best because they know how to compose a shot with, I don't know, a 4-armed alien robot monster, because they've done that for 10 years, you know? Yeah.
And they know how to be synchronous with other work groups that are pushing to that goal as well. I think that's a big part of it. They understand the workflow because a lot of it, like, I think that's when, getting back to those people with ego, they want to get into film for a different reason. They want to be a star, or they want to be a name. But I think if you want to be a filmmaker, you got to be a storyteller. I think that's the first point. You're going to have to tell a story. I think if you're getting into this and doing it, you've got to really choose the right reasons why to do it. And I think a big part of that is, well, you know, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Am I doing this for me? Am I doing it for others? You know, and there's no right or wrong answer, but I think if you really get to the core of why you want to be a filmmaker, you'll actually get to the point of being one.
Yeah. For me now, honestly, I'm just trying to have fun with it now. Like I take it very seriously as a career, but I've spent too much, you know, it doesn't have to be super stressful. Unless you've got a budget and a deadline, make sure you're going to enjoy your film. Make sure you're going to have fun making it. I'm trying to make the creation experience as fun as the viewing experience now for me. So that's why I've loved doing comedy, because that way it's okay if you go off script, because you might become better every now and then, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. That's really good advice, Matt. Like, you got to have fun. Well, why do this? I think a big question for me is, like, why be a creative? Because I love doing it. I have fun. Love being in bed. Love doing podcasts. I love making movies, man. I love doing promos. I love doing it. It makes people happy, and I like making people happy, and it makes me happy as well doing it.
I always tell myself, if I wasn't making short films for fun, I know exactly what type of film I would make. It would be a film where in the third act, it's like 10 minutes of crying, and there's some big message in the end that ties to some social political agenda that I know that already has a pre-installed base. Like, you could make a mathematical equation on how to pull in someone's heartstrings to make them call it a good film. I could do that. But me, my personality, like I don't want to change the world with my films. I just want to make people have a good time. So that wouldn't be true to myself. That wouldn't be who I am. That is who some people are, and like more power to them. But like that's not who I am. So I'm just trying to, like I remember even making bleeding backs, right? Looking at that, I remember being on set and like people doing like backflips and shit. I'm like, I'm there like almost with popcorn in my hand because I'm so excited. It's like, I'm just like, I just keep going like, this is so cool. Like I'm on set directing people and I'm saying to them, this is so cool. I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, and they'd be like, okay, cool. Direct me now. Like, that's like, but like, that's the feeling I'm chasing. That's my high. That's, some people do meth. For me, I'll go for that instead.
Yeah. You direct comedy and do stand up. That's that's your heroin meth ball.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry to go on a tangent, but I just realized the first time seeing you since something's happened. Congratulations on getting married.
Oh, dude. Oh, shucks. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I haven't seen you in person since that. I think so.
Oh, wow. Has it been that long since we've seen each other? Oh, gosh.
I think so. And it occurred to me before when you mentioned Man in the West possibly going online because I missed he's got a lot of experience with festivals and that. And it's been in my head this whole time. Like,
you're right.
I've seen Ross since he got married. Like,
thanks for that, man. Shucks. Thank you very much. I missed you at the last filmmakers hangout because I was triple booked. So I had to do we did a band practice because that was the night before our show at Frankies. So
which you released an EP for recently, right?
We did the EP last year, but we did Frankies this year as our opening gig. Man, it was a killer gig, dude. It was like one of the best gigs I've ever done, and it was a Sunday.
I saw some photos. Look cool.
Yeah, Sunday gigs are always horrible, dude. Like you don't want to do Wednesdays and Sundays. They're always terrible. But we got treated like rock stars, man. They put on beer for us, put on pizza. The back, behind stage sort of treatment, man. It was really, really cool. And really,
Frankies is a cool venue. Yeah.
Yeah, when people were into it. People were into it, yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've spent some time in a band, but I've been to a few shows at Frankie's and the place is pretty cool. Like when they put on a good gig, it's a good gig. For sure.
Oh man, and the atmosphere, everything. I can't praise it enough. It was a really, really cool experience. Can't wait to play there again. Can't wait to headline there one day. So, but man, look, because I'm on Zoom, I'm really short on time. I can only do half-hour stints until I start paying for Zoom. So, man, I'm gonna have to wrap it up. So, I'd like to thank you for being on the show, Matty.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
But before I take off, I just got to do my plugs for SSP. I know that we're in trying times at the moment, people, but if you are working in post-production, you need some help with Foley, contact me at stillsearchingproductions@gmail.com. Or if you need any promotions done for your films after the COVID-19 stuff has gone down, let me know. We can also do that. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the Pagey Train and hit the little notifications down around about there. Just hit the notifications. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts. And Matt, you're about
Can I get a quick plug in as well?
Yeah, sure.
Quick plug. You can check out my film projects, Vella Matt Films, Matt Vella, other way around, Vella Matt on Facebook. My podcast, Midnight Double Feature, find that wherever podcasts are. And Western Sydney Filmmakers Hangout, networking group for Western Sydney filmmakers. Find us on Facebook. And,
totally, guys. Totally go check out Western Sydney Film Hangouts. And, and also check out Matt online doing some comedy, man. He's doing a really good job out there. So just search Matthew C. Vella and you'll find him. And, once again, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Laters. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much for doing that, Matt. I really appreciate it.